Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 52 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 3. I actually thought this was going to be the Canadian Grand Prix at the end of last episode, so I was sadly wrong. We have to come to Baku, which is not a bad thing really. I've actually slowly grown to enjoy this circuit as, you know, ever since it came into the F1 calendar and the F1 game subsequently. And our car should go well, I think. You know, our car's a very powerful car in a straight line, engine-wise. Pretty low drag. We don't have too much downforce that's dragging it down, essentially, and we've done plenty of drag updates. And as of late, in the last few episodes, it's been an issue of actually really the car on the corners rather than the straight. So I think here at Baku and going on to Canada, even France as well with that long back straight, I think the next 3 races are going to be pretty damn good for our car. In theory, obviously, we don't know about the others. Are they going to bring upgrades? What are we going to do as well? Because we do have a fair amount of R&D points, so we will look into some upgrades this episode and see what we can do there. I think we might be looking at more chassis upgrades because I think we've fallen behind Mercedes apparently on the R&D graph. Obviously, it says a lot about that because Mercedes be nowhere in reality, obviously, compared to the chart. But going through the activity timeline as per usual, doing some race simulations, trying to bump up the experience for Max Verstappen, who I did some horrendous mental maths with last episode as well. Look, it's been many years since I've had to do any kind of maths, so forgive me on that. But anyway, we're moving into this episode, but also plenty of cash as well. We've got over $30 million, so I'm going to ask you guys and put it to a vote. Where do you want me to spend some money next on HQ facilities? So I'm going to have every single department available, and I want you guys to vote for which one you want to see me invest in. Of course, let me give you some context. Basically, all the performance parts, you know, we've got to a point where we don't need to technically upgrade anything because we're not bottlenecked. The tree is completely unlocked for us no matter what we do. Apart from the durability, I think there's still Spec 3 left to get on durability. And then marketing-wise, we've still got one more left to go on the sponsor relation, and then the personnel, we've got the final simulator upgrade. So there's a few things to do. A lot of the performance ones won't really affect much apart from just things like the build time and whatnot, but obviously we've got all this cash, so I may as well put it to a vote and ask you guys where you want to see that cash get invested into. So we now move into the actual R&D portion of upgrading the car. As I said, looking at chassis, as we have fallen behind a little bit ahead of Mercedes in first place there. So we're going to go ahead for an ultimate brakes update, because more than anything, I still think chassis-wise, brakes are the area we need to look at. I'm still not actually that super confident under braking on this game. It may just be this game, potentially, and maybe just not the car. It may just be the handling and the physics of the braking this year. I just can't get used to it compared to the last few years, but I just feel like I can't brake as late as I used to be able to on the F1 games, but it might just be the car. So if it is, this ultimate upgrade will help us. So we're going to rush through the upgrade. So that won't come in time for this race, unfortunately, but it's an ultimate upgrade, so you wouldn't expect it to. But if we rush it, it could come in for next race, which would be a massive thing, because on the previous F1 games, an ultimate upgrade was a pretty much guaranteed 3-race wait time, whereas this would only just be 2, and one of those races we're doing right now in this episode, so that would be really positive. And we've also gone ahead and upgraded the fuel to major upgrade there on the start of the tree. To be fair, probably should have done that upgrade a long time ago, but that'll just make our car a bit more fuel efficient. It already is very fuel efficient, I feel, but it just means that now with that upgrade coming in, hopefully in time for this race as we've rushed it, if it comes in, basically we could get towards that point where even in standard mixture, the engine is saving fuel, which is always a ridiculous point of the engine towards the end when you're maxing out these trees. But we go through the timeline then, having a look and hopefully seeing these upgrades come through. Yes, the fuel upgrade does come through there, and we'll also have a durability upgrade we purchased a few episodes ago come through on the control electronics as well, so that's a really positive sign. So into this race weekend, we move up the order a little bit on the R&D performance index. We kind of mimic Mercedes as they bring further upgrades, but McLaren also bring updates, along with, I think Red Bull have also continued that upward trajectory with McLaren. McLaren last episode looked pretty strong in places. Ultimately, then they didn't qualify well for Monaco. Back at Spain, though, they look very decent, and even at Zandvoort, they look quick. So could this be finally the time for them to shine? I've said it. I said it when Ocon overtook me at Monaco. That McLaren, it seems like they're doing a lot of upgrades on the drag reduction and the speed on the engine, because it was flying around Monaco through that tunnel. So I suspect at this circuit, it might actually go very well. But we've also seen before that Ferrari very good in straight line. Red Bull maybe not so much, depends on what upgrades they brought this race weekend. And, well, Mercedes, can they do anything to try and match one? They're qualifying from Monaco, which was good, but then hopefully do the opposite of what happened to Monaco, and they just went backwards yet again in that race. We'll have to find out as we go on now into the race weekend, and we're met with, unfortunately, a blow straight away in Q1 of our DRS failing as we start our first flying lap. So that's going to hinder us a little bit on every single straight DRS is available from, but obviously our car is just very quick naturally in a straight line. So to my surprise, we set in a very competitive lap time there, and we're pretty decent. P7, obviously we're off Verstappen, but I thought it would be so much worse without DRS that entire session, but it wasn't that bad, so fair play. And early doors, Ferrari looking quick, as I said, but McLaren, they're up there. Ocon splitting ahead either side of on the Red Bull cars, so let's watch out for those two teams to do battle. But we move through into Q2, then the sun coming down here in Azerbaijan, and it's time to do the business and hopefully get through on one flyer. Titan twisting second sector, and as I said, over the years, I've really grown to actually enjoy the challenge of Baku, and more with these cars with more downforce and a bit more, you know, rotation essentially. It's a lot more flowing in Sector 2 than it used to be on the F1 2016 cars and whatnot. So we make it through. Verstappen is top of the timesheet though. He's looking mega quick, and I'm 1.1 actually off Verstappen in Q2. So that's a little bit worrying in a way, how we've lost that much time with DRS now in Q2. So we will see how that goes in Q3. Hamilton though, disaster class for him. He's been knocked out in this second session, and Bottas only just made it through. It looks like I said, Red Bull look a little bit weaker here in a straight line. They're just not the best car. Obviously, their strengths in the corners, very much like in real life, obviously, the AI team here in the game of ours. So they're a little bit down, but McLaren look actually quick. Like, they've beaten Ferrari there, so let's now see how it goes into the top 10 shootout. But I'm kind of worried about this 1.1 gap. I really hope that's not actually the gap that Verstappen has on me, otherwise that might be quite embarrassing around this circuit. So starting our first flying lap, then we have two sets of tyres to use in this session, thankfully, having made it through on one set each in the previous qualifying session. So we can have a banker if we need it, but hopefully this first lap will be pretty decent as a yardstick. It's going to be P5, splitting the likes of Ocon and De Vries. Sainz ahead of us, which is worrying, because as I said, I would think the Red Bull would have been quite slow around here, but it looks like they've found some pace, surprisingly, in Q3. I don't know, maybe they've got a party mode that we don't know about now in this career mode of ours. But now we're down to P8 as we start our second flyer. We're in the middle of the lap now. We've gained about nearly 4 tenths or 3 tenths because we're fluctuating through as we go through those corners. By the time we get through to the last straight, we're down to 2.6 tenths found, which is still a decent margin, but will it be enough to catapult us up to the sharp end of the grid across the line? What is it going to be for us, and where on earth is our teammate Max Verstappen? We're down in P7, confirmed there. It's our lucky number P7, so maybe that can go well for us in the race, but Verstappen is on pole position by 9 tenths of a second to the next car. But look how close it is after that. Ocon down to myself is near enough, just covered by 1 tenth. That is insane. Absolutely insane. You've got like the Ferraris and the McLaren of Leclerc and Norris split. Well, they actually set at the same time, actually. Sorry, Norris and Leclerc set at the same time. There's only like a few thousandths in between their respective teammates. And then Ricciardo has slotted in very randomly for a great showing for Red Bull up in P3, whilst his teammate is down in P8, Sainz, the two-time winner this season. But my teammate, Verstappen, pole by 9 tenths, 1 second ahead of me. Where is he finding this time? Because I couldn't find much more time out of that. Like, I gained 4 tenths in the middle sector. I lost some time in the last sector, so it got eroded down to 2.6. I don't know where he's found those extra 9 tenths, but I'm very worried. He might just waltz away with this, and we might have a bit of an embarrassing show compared to him. Very much almost was like the case at, obviously, Hanoi, where he just dominated that Grand Prix. Hopefully not for my sake. Obviously, for the team, it's great, but I'm hoping that I can try and find some of that pace that he's got in the race, but it's going to be very close if qualifying's anything to go by, so it's anyone's game really in this kind of top 7 or 8. So let's go to the grid. It could be a very hectic Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
And a warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today, so our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully away from the barriers. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of Turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are three main things to worry about there, Crofty. Positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Esteban Ocon in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Ricciardo, Norris, Charles Leclerc and De Vries. The owner driver, Sainz, Gasly and Valtteri Bottas, Giovinazzi, Perez, George Russell and Stroll, Hamilton, Albon, Nobuharu Matsushita and Daniel Kvyat, Magnussen, Grosjean, Aitken and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Right, so the strategy here today for Azerbaijan is a bit of a weird one. I can't lie. My engineers are recommending me a 2-stop either way. Either soft tyres to 2 sets of mediums or using all 3 compounds, medium and then hard, which is odd because the last 2 seasons we have been able to make work somewhat, a soft tyre to hard tyre stint, which is very odd. So I don't know if they're seeing something in the data or something just messed up with the simulations here with the default strategy and alternate one. I suspect when we actually go to 5 red lights, I think most people will default onto a 1-stop, either going from softs to hard tyres, or those of us behind us outside the top 10 might try mediums to the hards, or there might be an audacious, I don't know, if some of these guys have upgraded their tyre wear to spec level 3 and right to the end of the tree, maybe some of them could try a soft to medium tyre stint. That could be quite bonkers. I remember in previous F1 games that actually was an option here at Baku, but for us, I wanted to basically test out if I wasn't overthinking it, and I was correct in my thinking that, yeah, a 1-stop, even mathematically, the game says it's the quicker way to go around this circuit, so I don't know what that's about. For now, we'll stick with the top one, but I'm pretty sure we'll just default onto that secondary one and go to the hard tyres. As of late, we've been actually okay with the hards. I've liked them the last few episodes, especially at the end of last season, so I don't mind them. It's just going to be a case of trying to heat them up, basically, around this very tricky street circuit where it's hard to heat up the tyres because every corner is so slow and 90 degrees, basically. But from P7, as I said, it's my lucky number, but I'm not feeling too lucky being 9/10 off my teammate in qualifying, so I really don't know how this race is going to go. Everyone's so close ahead of me from P7 to P2. It just could be like a race-long battle for like the last scraps, essentially, of these top 10 places. I'm just not too sure, but let's get into this then and just find out. We now go to 5 red lights for round number 8 here, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Baku. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway to an electric start for De Vries there. He cuts across. We're going to cut across the left-hand side, but Sainz gets it to the inside. It makes it 4 wide between him, Norris, De Vries and Leclerc. We've been done around the outside by the AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo. Where have they come from? Gasly and Giovinazzi, I think that is, or Russell, sorry, making a mega dive. It's still 3 wide between De Vries, Norris and Sainz. Those guys made so much contact, and we've been pushed down the order. And oh, Gasly! Gasly's made some contact with us on the rear end there. We nearly lost the back end. We go down the inside. It's 2 by 2. Sainz side by side with Giovinazzi, so now Giovinazzi has joined the party. Where are these guys all coming from? Bottas has now dive bombed me, nearly puts me in the wall, and just like that, in a split second, we're down to P12. What is that start? What was that start? It all kicked off. I've never seen AI dive bomb each other so much. And in all that chaos, up ahead at the sharp end of the grid, Esteban Ocon, the Frenchman, in the McLaren, he got a great getaway from P2, and he's jumped Verstappen into turn 1. So it's going to be Ocon from Verstappen, Ricciardo, Leclerc. Then there's a big old gap due to that massive fight in turn 1. Lando Norris in a world of his own. De Vries, Giovinazzi, Sainz. And then you've got the likes of the AlphaTauri of Gasly, Russell and Bottas Bottas all ahead of me. Russell with a big moment there as he clouts the barrier and the wall on that high-speed right-hander, and so we get him very easily up into P11, but I'm still trying to process that lap 1. Like, we've just finished it now, but it was so hectic. There was so much going on. De Vries cutting across us to try and overtake his teammate Leclerc. I cut to the inside, but Sainz went even more to the inside of me, dive-bombed me, made it 4 wide there. Then somehow, because I got pinched in, Gasly and Giovinazzi found their way round my outside, and then we got caught up in a two-way fight there, and then later down the road, Bottas, after I had a rear end step out, he just sent it, and then he put me in the wall, had to take avoiding action, and due to that, also got left for dust by Giovinazzi once again near the Alfa Romeo. So, yeah, definitely probably one of the worst starts I've ever had. That felt like a survive episode. I was surviving that lap pretty much. I was just going backwards, but I was just trying to keep my front wing intact because, as I said, I've never seen any AI attack each other that violently and that much vigor and aggression on the opening lap. It's great to see, but very, yeah, perplexing, and obviously not great for me being down here and now here and outside the points as it stands. But you can clearly see the raw pace we've got in clean air as we're right on the back of Bottas now over that second lap, and Bottas, like in Monaco, his rear end very unstable. We've got a good run with ERS, going to shoot it round the outside. It's so close to the right-hand side wall, and onto Bottas just gives us enough room to work with. We give him a good old squeeze on the exit just to repay the favour, really, from lap number 1, I can't lie, but very fine. Unorthodox place to make a move, really. In real life, you really have to have the biggest balls to make that work, because if you get it wrong, you're going straight into the wall, as did, wasn't it, Kvyat versus Gasly, I think it was, one time here at Baku, which was very scary indeed. But we're going to try it again, because for some reason, our car just gets a great launch compared to others. And so, again, on Gasly now, speaking of Gasly, we go around the outside of him. That time a lot easier than the one with Bottas. Bottas gave us a much bigger squeeze, and nearly, again, pushed us into a wall. So I don't know what it is. He's just salty. Our car is so quick. He just keeps on wanting to squeeze us right to the edge, and I'll do it right back to him. I don't have any qualms with that, but we've got those two guys very easily in that section of the circuit, and we're up into P9 now by the time we get to lap number 4. So clearly the car and we have good pace. Just that opening lap, because it was so hectic, I was having to just, avoid action and avoid my front wing being taken off. So it wasn't really that it was a horrendous start or necessarily a bad lap 1. It was just such a hectic one, and I was in the wrong place at the wrong time at every single corner. So I was the one having to back out of it. Otherwise, I would have been the one that was causing the incident, because everyone else was just too involved in themselves. But we've got a great run on Sainz, and it's going to be a big lunge to the inside there. Little lock up on the left-hand side, but we'll get the car turned round that left-hander. We go again in the second turn. It looks like with Sainz with a good exit, but we're going to have that on the racing line, and we're going to get ERS deploying on the exit to push away from that Red Bull, which definitely is not great in a straight line, which really begs the question how on earth Ricciardo pulled out that amazing lap time in qualifying. I guess we'll see if we catch up to him later on, but making good progress. But because we're down in P12, we're so far behind, we're making great progress. We're only in P8 though as it stands now, so we're still so far away from where we really realistically want to be and want to be fighting, and where Verstappen is up in P2, I assume still. But it's a long way to the checkered flag, so just going to keep our head down essentially at this early stage of the GP, yet to even make that first pit stop. So we go and overtake De Vries. He gives us a little squeeze to the right. These guys are being really quite punchy this afternoon, but we get the job done very easily in a straight line. Purple last sector, that's how quick we are in a straight line with DRS and ERS deploying all down that back straight, saving a lot of the ERS, I must say, for either this straight coming up or that back straight, because otherwise there's just no point. You may as well save it around the lap. But trying to now close up to Giovinazzi, doing a mega job, it must be said, in the Alfa Romeo. I don't know how he's actually still holding this head of De Vries and Sainz comfortably. Verstappen comes in very early, as does Ocon. Ocon, I can see on the top left, onto a set of hard tyres. Verstappen, I couldn't quite tell what tyre that was on. I have a worry that Verstappen may be on a 2-stop, as our team was suggesting I should do earlier at the race start, so we'll see about that. But we go on towards lap number 8, and we overtake Giovinazzi, and we're up into P3 now as more people come in for their pit stops. Norris in for a set of hard tyres, so you can see very much so we're not doing that 2-stop. Our team wanted us to. We've even actually gone longer, much longer than the 1-stop we planned, essentially, because I think our planned 1-stop was pitting around lap 6. We've gone lap 8, and the tyres are absolutely finished. That rear right is near puncture territory, ready to go. So one more lap, and we probably probably would be in danger, but we're going to come in on this lap on step hard tyres. Lewis Hamilton has retired out of this Grand Prix. He's retired just outside the pit lane, so I don't know if he crashed into the pit lane or whatnot. Unfortunately, I don't have a replay, so we don't know if he's crashed into the pit lane or just retired just before the pit entry, but it's another calamity for Hamilton. And as I said before, I really honestly think with the way it's going, he might just retire out of this entire career mode save of ours. I guess we'll have to see, and you guys will have to keep on watching on to see how that progresses at the end of the season, and if he will indeed leave the sport in this career mode save of ours. But we come out now just behind a big old scrap, and it's 3 wide that is on that camera shot there. Red Bull, Renault, and Haas, I think that is. Yes, it is. It's Matsushita, I think Magnussen, and Ricciardo ahead of us there, and Ricciardo is actually squeezed out by the Renault, so just showing the Red Bull really isn't great in a straight line. He must have got that time in qualifying all in the corners with some mega cornering, and Ricciardo now is really stuck behind the Russian. So actually, sorry, it wasn't Matsushita then, it was Kvyat the entire time. So Kvyat has squeezed out his old teammate, Ricciardo, obviously from the Red Bull days, many years ago now. But we're catching up to this pack. Giovinazzi right behind us on hard tyres as well. It's crucial we get past these guys. You know, Ricciardo's in the same boat. He's with us. He's in the top pack. Kvyat, he's not in sync with us. He's yet to pit in this Grand Prix. I think he started on the hard tyres. The same with Magnussen. So we've all got to get past these guys. We're going to use a great toe from Ricciardo. And it's so close. Ricciardo moves in the brake zone. And we almost have a horrendous crash into turn 1 there. You can't be doing that at over 180 miles per hour into that brake zone. He moves at the last minute as we were getting a great toe for him. He chose the inside line. Stick to it, mate. We narrowly missed that. We thankfully don't have a crash, and we live to fight for another day. And we go to make a huge lunge on Kvyat. Easy as you want. Roll the car through very close to the wall, up into P10, and now chasing after Kevin Magnussen. So we've overtaken the traffic, but we've also got ahead of Ricciardo, which was obviously for full position. Ricciardo was ahead of us in this race, so he's lost that massively. I think he was running in, what was it, P4 or 5 in this race earlier. So we're making some really good progress for this comeback now in this Grand Prix. As we overtake Magnussen then with ease on the inside, up into P9 now, and we've still got probably about 4 or 5 cars still yet to pit in this Grand Prix, so we will be hovering around P4 to 5 maybe in this race, just behind the likes of the 2 McLarens, our teammate, and Leclerc. So really good recovery, and Red Bull, they've just definitely gone backwards. Their race pace is just not there compared to the pace Ricciardo showed over 1 lap in qualifying. And also, I've only just realised, furthermore to the people yet to pit this Grand Prix, our teammate Verstappen, he is on a 2-stop. I can confirm he's annoyingly just done what our team's recommended. So he's on another set of mediums. So he's going to make 1 more pit stop in this Grand Prix. So we might well jump our teammate if we're quick enough, as we now go to overtake Albon. Oh, Albon! What has Albon done? He's just moved across us in the brake zone, and he's taken off a bit more for a front wing. We had a near miss from Ricciardo just earlier, and Albon's gone and copied him and finished the job off. What on earth is the Thai Brit doing? What are you doing, man? Replay, look at this in slow-mo. He's moved to the inside. He's physically chosen the inside line. He's kind of inside middle. We're going to the outside. We're in his mirrors, and he moves across. And at that speed, that's my reaction time there in slow-mo. That's how quickly I reacted, because at that speed, you know, as soon as you react, you're already kind of gone a few meters down the road because you're going at 210 miles per hour. But here we go, full speed. I mean, look how quick that movement is. Had no time to react, basically. I'm lucky I didn't actually slam into the wall on the right and lost my front right tyre. But on board from Albon, I mean, at full speed, it's very subtle, but if we slow it down, have a look at his steering wheel, basically, but also look at the mirror. Clearly, I'm there. He's moved left, and then there, he just moves right there. And that right movement, he starts to move left again, but by the time he does that, it's way too late. I'm already coming steaming in and hitting his rear right tyre, and the front wing's gone off. The front left cascade element's gone. Ricciardo's overtaken us with ease. And now I've got to come in. I can't go on for any... It's not like Monaco. I can't sustain this amount of damage at Baku. It may be a street circuit, but it's nothing like Monaco. I can't defend with this front wing like this. for a whole 11 laps. So we have to come in for a set of medium tyres now. Ironically, we're going to be on a 2-stop with our teammate Verstappen. So I guess Jeff and the team's wishes have been met. But Albon, I don't know what that was, man. That was just so silly. And the thing is, you could almost see it coming in a way, because Ricciardo did the same thing. I narrowly missed that, but you don't think it's going to happen twice in the span of like 3-4 laps. So it's a bit of a calamity for us. We're in P17 now, you know, and we've got 10 laps to go. Albeit, we will be rapid right now on these medium tyres compared to everyone either on worn mediums themselves or worn hard tyres. I'll be on fresh mediums here. Lap 16, purple second sector. Purple last sector, I should imagine. Oh, no, we got red, actually, because we were behind Magnussen, to be fair. But this next lap surely is going to be purple for us. So we move through lap 18. We've already set one purple, so we've already gone rapid time. We've closed up the gap to Russell and to Prix up ahead. We've gone green first sector, purple second, and hopefully it'll be green at least third sector. Yes, there you go, another fast lap the Grand Prix. So we are driving like an absolute madman up to P13 now. We can get some good points because people are still pitting this race, including Albon, ironically, top left you can see. So in that incident, he really didn't need to defend against me because he was going to make a pit stop anyway and always go behind me. And now he's ended up behind me anyway, even after dealing me front wing damage. So yeah, just really not necessary. But we overtake Russell with ease. We're now into P12. De Vries looking very slow. So this is actually the interesting thing. I've actually caught up to the cars I was battling in stint 1 because these guys are so slow on the hard tyres and I'm so quick on these fresher mediums that we've caught back up to them. So the 2-stop compared to these guys is actually very quite quick. Obviously though, compared to the leaders, the McLarens, Leclerc, and my teammate even, the 2-stop's just not necessary as we are really cutting a fine there, aren't we? With Bottas earlier, Gasly, and then there with De Vries. I tried to make it 3 overtakes there. Wasn't quite. De Vries just about slammed the door on me, and we just live to fight for another lap on towards lap number 20 this will be. We'll get a nice slingshot exit here. DRS will be available to us. We're already deploying a lot of overtake mode. We're in rich mix right now. We'll save the fuel later in this race, I've decided. You know, we'll do a Brazilian Grand Prix, what we did last season, and just push like a stabbed rat, and we'll worry about the fuel in the dying laps of this Grand Prix. So we get the job done on De Vries in the Ferrari. Now can we try and get our old teammate Sainz in the Red Bull? He looked pretty aggressive at the start of this Grand Prix, but now very slow that Red Bull has been, especially also for Ricciardo as well. As we go around the outside, Sainz to the lock-up. Oh, Sainz has hit Bottas! What's going on? Sainz is just as aggressive as he was in stint 1, I guess, because what was that? I tried to go around the outside and pressurize him. He locked up and got flustered, and now he's broken a bit of his front wings. So he pushed past him very, very aggressively, but he just needs to get out of the way. He's a mobile chicane there in that kind of instance. And we're up into P8 now, so very bizarre though. He just, steamrolled into Bottas's rear end. So we're in P8, looking to get P7 then from the man we overtook already once in this Grand Prix, a few times already. Can we get him again? On the outside, he goes very defensive. Now, Albon, that's how you hold an inside line. Stay to the left and just stay to your line. So we're up into P7. So we are making a good recovery, actually, you know, because the guys ahead of us are so slow on those hard tyres that the progress is rapid on these mediums. So in clean air now, 5 laps to go. We look to chase after the Alfa Romeo of Giovinazzi. Another man looking to chase after someone is Lando Norris on Leclerc for I think this will be P2 actually, you know, and it's the virtual GP battle once again. Norris v Leclerc. Leclerc was in P2, Norris P3, because of course Verstappen would have been there, but he's made a 2-stop, so he's down in P4. So it's Ocon that leads the way with a decent margin, and these two fighting will only help that, but Norris couldn't quite get it into turn 1 there. Leclerc defended well enough on the outside, ironically, actually, into turn 1, to be fair to him, so he did a good job. But can Norris do it? Second time of asking now, on the back straight again. Good exit, and just needs to get that overspeed with DRS open. There he goes, and oh! Leclerc with a big old squeeze. He shuts the door well and truly, as that obviously the wall there naturally kind of tightens up either side, especially on the right hand side. So Norris there tried to make the move, but Leclerc just held the line and kept it so close to the wall that he nearly just got pushed into it there. So he has to go again for a third time maybe later on in this Grand Prix. But this is a great battle between Norris and Leclerc. Like I said, the same battle we had in the virtual GPs on the F1 game in lockdown earlier this year. But for us now, on on the outside of Giovinazzi. It's a pretty easy move because his tyres are so gone now, and we're up into P6. But this is where the progress ends. We've got 12 laps to Ricciardo, a further then 17 to Verstappen in P4. So this is where we're going to finish, I think, P6. But to be fair, with that damage we had, the extra pit stop, we've done well to come back to essentially where we were when we had that contact with Albon. And meanwhile, there you go, in the dying laps, the last 3 to be exact, Norris gets the job done and makes it a 1-2 for McLaren. Ocon ahead of Norris. Then you've got Leclerc in third place. Couldn't quite fight it off that third time. So third time lucky for the Brit. And then obviously, like we said, Verstappen P4, Ricciardo P5, myself in P6. And just to top off this hectic episode, I have another DRS failure, this time in the race. Thankfully, the DRS wasn't open. It's not stuck open. It's stuck closed here. But it's the last lap. It won't matter. We'll come through in the end. But Ocon wins his first race in Formula 1 and his first race for McLaren. And it's the first race win for McLaren this season. And I think their first race win since Sainz won for them in Abu Dhabi Season 1. I think because Sainz was driving, obviously, for McLaren Season 1. I think he won the last episode. And we signed him. That's one of the reasons we signed him, because he was a proven race winner. So it's been a long old while since McLaren have won a race in this F1 career mode of ours. So GG's to them. 1-2 as well. Very impressive. And I wasn't kidding by saying earlier in the episode, watch out for them in a straight line. They look quick. Leclerc rounds out the podium. And in the end, it's another disappointing day for the team. We could have done so much more than P4 and 6 with our pace.
Another race and another win for McLaren. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So it's a very historic day. Then the first 1-2 for McLaren since, I don't even know, maybe one of you historians will know the last time McLaren had a 1-2. I think it was a long, long time ago. So great to see Ocon on the top step, Norris P2, great overtake on Leclerc late on then. Like I said, we could have done so much more than P4 and 6. But also saying that, from the start we had, it was always going to be a hectic race, but still lamenting, that contact with Albon. Yes, maybe I could have pulled more aggressively to the right earlier, but Albon still should have been holding his line. He shouldn't be moving a little bit right and then left in the brake zone like Ricciardo did as well. So it's a racing sort of, incident, I guess, in a way, but I'm just a little bit peeved off, basically, because I think we could have actually jumped Verstappen probably with his 2-stop, really, realistically, because Ricciardo wasn't too far off him. I think Ricciardo was 5 seconds off Verstappen, and we were about 5 seconds ahead, or probably going to be 5 seconds ahead of Ricciardo once we got in clean air. So it's a frustrating one, but championship-wise, we're still in the lead. Obviously, the gap's been reduced to Leclerc for us individually, and others have jumped up with Ocon and Lando actually on the same points now in the championship. Constructors-wise, we actually gain points on Red Bull technically, but Prix and McLaren close up to them, so it's becoming a closer fight as a whole overall, even though the points gap's already grown since last episode. So all in all, I mean, it's frustrating, yes, but at least we still came away with some good points, I guess, and it was obviously still a very, very fun race. Very hectic one, like I said. I'm still kind of not over that lap 1. Like, that was insane. I've never seen like a 4-wide moment, then a 3-wide moment, then a 2x2 3 times over, and then Bottas with that dive ball. I still can't, he massively dived me and just was almost about to put me in the wall. I've just never seen AI that aggressive over so many consecutive laps. Like, yes, they can be aggressive over one corner, but then usually that's it. But they just kept on going and kept on attacking each other and myself. It was just bonkers to see. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that site as well. If you did enjoy that, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.